principles of the 10 Amendments and the Constitution.
For all the FBI agents in the audience, a revolution can be anything. But I will tell you this, that a revolution, according to Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, Monroe, and all of the Founding Fathers, is my divine right. One of the most offensive statements I have heard since September the 11th was Pennsylvania Governor Tom Ridge, when he was sworn in. And he said, civil liberties are one of the most precious gifts that we give our citizens. I got news for you, Governor Ridge. These are inalienable rights. You don't give nothing to me, we give them to you. During the Civil War, Abraham Lincoln suspended the writ of habeas corpus, and it led to one of the most powerful and most important trials that ever reached the Supreme Court of the United States. The case was Ex parte Milligan. And this is what they had to say. They said, the Constitution of the United States is a law for rulers and people equally in war and in peace, and covers with the shield of its protection all classes of men at all times and under all circumstances. No doctrine involving more pernicious consequences was ever invented by the wit of man than that any of its provisions can be suspended during any of the great exigencies of government. That was when we had a Supreme Court. Now, I want you to bear in mind, you may think that the system of government is still mildly working here. That, well, we had a law and you know what, so Congress is working, but you know, Congress is totally subdued. They're rolled over, they're not fighting, so you think it's the court. But bear in mind that the current Supreme Court is the one that illegally gave George W. Bush the election victory. And when I say illegally, I mean it was a butchery in the major media, because the Florida law said the clear intent of the voter. And what happened was the Supreme Court stopped the counting when there were thousands of ballots left uncounted that would have shown the clear intent of the voter, and said, we're going to make a one-case exception here, and we're going to say that we stopped the count, and we're going to just recount the votes that we have and ignore the votes where we could still determine the clear intent of the voter. That was an illegal decision. So where do you go after that?
The first most important thing that the American people should remember is how George Bush came to the White House. 1, through fraud, and 2, through buying the election. The most money ever spent in the history of the United States for this office. That's a crime, and that's a shame.
All right, we are living, get this, in an empire. Bill Sapphire said this about George W. Bush. He said, on what legal meat does this our Caesar feed? Bill Sapphire said that. Okay? And it is an empire. Now, I want to go all the way back, and I want to take you back before I shut up here and leave you with one of my favorite quotes of all time. The foundation of all mental illness is the avoidance of legitimate suffering. And the country is mentally ill. It'll wake up sooner or later. I don't know when. I'm not God. I don't know where this is going. I know that my job is to teach. My job is to give you information. And my job is to clarify for you what's at stake here.
Let's look at the fact that, and this is the most important point, it appears to me that the American people might have a criminal syndicate running their government.
This will be especially important if we are to consider changing the structure of the intelligence community, and that is the challenge of...
What's at stake here is your liberty. This is a criminal administration. It will not stop. It cannot turn back. President Bush broke the Presidential Records Act of 1978 by refusing to release the Ronald Reagan papers. Arbitrarily broke the law. John Ashcroft broke the law by ordering wiretaps of attorney-client conversations in terrorist cases. The Supreme Court doesn't exist. They're grabbing for the power right now, and you better rest assured, as sure as I'm standing here tonight, that the war that's supposed to be taking place against terrorism is also a war against you. Thank you very much.